Good afternoon. I am Bishop Isaac Lane. You see, I was born a slave on March 3rd, 1834, here in Madison County, about 5 miles outside of Jackson. My early life was spent on a farm. You see, I didn't have some of the advantages of others. So as a young boy, I was not taught to read and was not prepared for my life of public service. I married Frances Ann Boyce in 1854, with whom we spent 40 wonderful years together. And to our union were born 11 children, 6 girls and 5 boys. I was converted into the ministry September 11th of 1854 and joined the Methodist Episcopal South. I was granted a license to preach in 1856 and ordained a deacon 1 year later. I was appointed the presiding elder here in Jackson and served for 4 years, and afterwards was a pastor of Liberty Street Methodist Church, which is now Mother Liberty CME Church, the mother church of the CME denomination. Our church and the former slaves who had been members of the Methodist Episcopal Church South made a demand to be organized as an independent church. We were tired of worshiping in the balcony with little guidance or room for advancement and opportunities for leadership. So on December 16th of 1870, me and 40 other slaves formed and took on the name, the Colored Methodist Episcopal Church in America, which was the forming of the CME denomination. And of course, the name was later changed and is now the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church, which has gone on to not only be a singular church, but a connectional denomination with churches across the United States, with churches in every state and in Africa and other countries. The church also supports several colleges: Miles College, Payne College in Georgia, Texas College, and also our beloved Lane College here in Jackson. I was elected and consecrated bishop in 1873. But at that time, I took special notice of the conditions of my people as we had come out of the bondage of slavery, gone through Reconstruction, and found that our preachers needed a common school education, such that would enable them to read and write and speak English correctly. We needed a training school for the slaves that were coming out of bondage so that they could be successful and continue their lives. So it became necessary and urgent for us to establish and operate a school of high grade for our church. Just out of slavery, poor and uneducated, it was almost unthinkable for us to own, control, and even operate a high school, let alone a college. Such was looked upon as preposterous, but I kept fighting. The enterprise of building a school in Tennessee was conceived as early as November of 1878 at the CME denomination's Tennessee Annual Conference. I later met with the committee to give advice to help formulate the plans for the founding of what would be called the CME High School, which is now Lane College. You see, I purchased the land for $240, 4 acres of land in East Jackson. And on November 12th of 1882, the CME High School began its first session under the guidance of its first principal and teacher, my daughter, Miss Jenny Lane. You see, this first day of school marked the beginning of a powerful and ongoing commitment to the uplifting of people throughout the South, the nation, and the world. Later, my son, James Franklin, will become president of Lane and serve dutifully for over 37 years. Today, Lane College is led under the magnanimous leadership of Dr. Logan Hampton. And Lane is arguably one of the most premier institutions here in the state of Tennessee. Lane is one of the largest employers here in the city of Jackson, and their homecoming is one of the largest revenue-generating events for our city. Lane has notable graduates such as civil rights attorney Charles Hallowell, educator Dr. Wesley C. McClure, our own Mayor Scott Conger, and many others. Lane birthed the 4 freshmen of the civil rights movement. My late father, Dr. Ernest Brooks Sr., Shirley Mercer, and others who sat in at the Woolworth counter here in Jackson and changed the face of civil rights and equality here in our city. For nearly 150 years, Lane has nurtured business leaders and spiritual leaders, novelists and scientists, physicians and public servants, scholars and teachers in every field of endeavor. It's been embarrassing for me, but during World War II, in recognition of my contributions in the field of education, the United States named a Merchant Marine victory ship in my honor, the USS Lane, which is based in San Diego. And it remains fitting for me, a man of color, an ex-slave, who, through the grace of God, has been so much to so many, and has changed the face of Jackson-Madison County and left an indelible mark on not only the city and county, but the entire state of Tennessee and our nation. And in closing, I would say, the buildings may not stand, the reputation may pass among men, but the work will remain forever. I am Bishop Isaac Lane.